Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa for those of you who are new here, and thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for new videos every single week. And today's video is a little different. It's just a chill chit chat. As you can see by the title, today's video is a little different. It's just chill kind of chit chat, get ready with me before I go run some errands and I get this little simple everyday warm look. And to talk about my recent hospitalization due to issues with my Crohn's disease. And yeah, if you're new here, I have Crohn's disease. I was diagnosed in 2020. So it was quite the experience, and it's one I never want to live again. So if you're interested in hearing about that, as well as just a chill get ready with me, then please keep on watching. Okay, I got my coffee here, my cute little Disney mug that my girlfriend Sierra got for me on one of her Disney trips. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this. You'll probably be seeing this video a couple weeks after I'm filming it, but I just kind of woke up this morning and was like, you know what, let me do like a just chill chit chat, get ready with me of what the heck happened this past week. So if you are, and I'm not sure if I said this in the intro, but everything I will link down below. I'm not going to really say a whole lot of like what I'm actually using, but this is the e.l.f. Brow. If you are new to my channel, which I know I have some new subscribers, so thank you for subscribing and hello and welcome. In 2020, I was diagnosed with in 2020, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that was kind of a shock, and that happened after an ER visit, and doctor did a CT scan on my abdomen. I went to the ER for severe abdominal pain, and this is when I was living by myself in that old tiny apartment, and it was just me and Milo, and I had to take myself to the ER and find out, and all these tests kind of came back that I had Crohn's disease. I'm gonna go with the e.l.f. brightening concealer. It's gonna be very light, like just everyday makeup. So, and then after that I had like a bunch of tests that I needed to do. I had, let's go this way. And anyways, so since then I have, to be frank, I have not visited a GI. I have not taken any really medication. I've just kind of been a little mindful of what I ate, and you know, take collagen, put collagen in my coffee, and just kind of listen to my body. With that being said, I have been, which I'm pretty sure I've shown in a vlog or two, I have been sent to, I've gone to the ER a few times. In the past 2-3 years, it's been about 4 or 5 times. And just due to severe pain that occurs. If you don't know what Crohn's disease is, I can link like the Crohn's disease website, but it is an autoimmune disease that is inflammation, irritation of the digestive system. So the inflammation and pain can occur in any portion of the digestive system. So that's mouth, esophagus, like throat, esophagus, stomach, intestines, all of that. And you know, it's very painful. It's very, very sharp pains, at least in my experience. And that's what I'm no doctor, and I'm not saying like I'm an expert on this. This is just what I'm just stating what I know and my experience with it. And I have very high pain tolerance, and sometimes the pain just gets too much, and that's when I take myself to the ER to get some stronger medication to help with the pain. It's been fairly good, fairly calm, even with, you know, the stress of the wedding and the stress of us wanting to buy a house and, you know, stress of life. It's been fairly good. I get little pains every now and then, but nothing that isn't tolerable where I feel I need to go to the hospital and get stronger medicine. So I'm recording this on Saturday, May 7th. So on Tuesday, May the 3rd, I was working from home and just going about my business, and I started having pains like I do sometimes, and I was like, okay, you know what, just gotta slow down, you know, this is obviously what they call a flare-up, and need to just kind of relax and try to get through it. Well, pain started increasing to a non-tolerable point, and it was just starting to get so bad. So the other thing too is Jordan now works from home full time, except for a few days sometimes I have to go in the office for meetings, but for the most part, like 99% of the time, he's working from home. So he was here and he was able to try to help me through it. This started happening and getting really bad towards the end of the workday of our night, like our day job workday, and he was possibly having he was supposed to have practice that night, and it just started getting worse and worse and worse, and to the point where, you know, ladies are, you know, if you are someone who has to deal with like period, imagine the worst cramps possible and then multiply the sharpness and the cramping. That is what I was dealing with. And it got to the point where I was just like, I can't take it anymore. Like and that also by this point I have tried taking Tylenol, which is the only like kind of pain reliever I can take besides acetaminophen. And because like Advil, Aleve, ibuprofen, I can't take any of those because it causes more harm and more irritation to my digestive system, which absolutely blows, especially being an athlete, because those are things you definitely rely on for your sores and any of your injuries that occurs. So the only thing I can take is Tylenol, which I did, and I waited and to see if that would help. It barely did, and then it just was bad. Then it got to the point, you know, disclaimer, like a lot of what I'm going to be saying is not for someone with an easy stomach, and we're talking about the digestive system, so just keep that in mind. So then it got to the point where I was like, you know, I'm done. Then I started getting super nauseous, which does happen sometimes, and then it got to the point where I threw up. And that has never happened before, ever, like ever. In any of these times that I have dealt with a flare-up. This concealer is not liking going over the putty primer. This is the eye brightening concealer. Like, side note, it is really crusty, so I'm trying to save it as much as possible. Anyways, this makeup doesn't need to be perfect. So it got to that. It got to that point where I threw up and I was like, you know what, we're done. We need to go to the hospital. So Jordan thankfully takes me to the ER and to a hospital that's not far from me, which is also a blessing. It's about a 5-minute drive. We get there and I'm gonna go in with my Halo Glow setting powder. We get there and they gotta check me in, you know, they gotta do all the, you know, the normal paperwork stuff, and checking me in, checking my vitals, and it took me about 45 minutes to get into a room. You know, no big deal. At that point, I was dealing with pains, but But I was dealing with pains, but mostly I was dealing with nausea and like god awful nausea. Like, I'm not one that, like, no one likes being nauseous, but I really don't like being nauseous at all. And so, and also too is I didn't want Jordan, I know he doesn't care, but just personally, I didn't want Jordan I don't like seeing, you know, I don't want anyone seeing me in that state. And I just don't. And unfortunately, like, while I was in the waiting room and they had to do all like the paperwork stuff, you know, the normal, do you consent, blah, 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 with treatment and, you know, what's your insurance, the very annoying but necessary task you have to do in order to get treatment, I ended up having to throw up again. So that was really embarrassing and great, and it was funny because it was during, well, I say it's funny now, but in the moment it sucked. The nurse who was getting ready to do my blood work, I'm gonna go within my Makeup Revolution bronzer. So the nurse that was was in charge of, you know, getting me checked in, putting IV, doing my blood work, because they know with someone who has Crohn's disease and they come in and they have a flare-up, they just already know that they have to be admitted and they have to get some medication intravenously. And I need to stop leaning back. And so she came in right at the time that I was not in a good state. Let's just say that. And I was like, oh, gotta come back later. And I thought, well, aren't you a nurse? Aren't you supposed to like maybe, I don't know, come like hold my hair or something? Like, I thought that was kind of unusual, but it's fine. I survived, obviously. I'm still here. Like, it's okay that she didn't come in and hold my hair, and Jordan was there and helping me out. Anyway, so got blood drawn, then went in, and every time someone with Crohn's disease goes in to an ER or anything like that, they do what they call a CT scan. And so finally got into a room, went into the CT scan, got my medication to help with the pain. They gave me morphine. They do it in very small bouts for obvious reasons. Gonna go with phase 0 blush. And then normally when I do these ER visits, so normally when I've gone in for these ER visits, do the normal, okay, go get a CT scan, check to make sure there's no infection or any other issues that we can't see based off of just normal abdominal exam, or, just get a check. Well, this time, unfortunately, they found a blockage in my intestines. They found a blockage where my large intestine and smaller intestine meet. I have never had that before, and that's probably why this time the pain was so bad, and the fact that I threw up, that's probably the reasoning for it. So great, cool thing, gee. So when that occurs, they have to possibly look at having to surgically remove the blockage, or they can maybe try to do it with medicine. Now, a lot of the stuff that I say now going forward is stuff I've learned just through this particular hospital visit. Going in with the Tarte palette from my project pan. I'm just gonna put a little bit of highlighter because that blush is already glowy enough. Anyways, so they can either surgically remove it, or they try to do some medication and antibiotics to try to get my body to remove the blockage on its own. And so the first step was to try to remove the blockage on its own, and they said that actually my one of my intestines were actually very inflamed, and to quote one of the doctors, not happy. And the nurses and the doctors that, you know, worked with me were great in the ER, and they were very communicative. They were definitely very concerned that I was not seeing a GI and that I was not on many medication, probably from what they saw in my CT scan. So I was thinking, you know, everything's going great. I'm only having issues every 6 to 8 months. That doesn't seem that terrible. I've heard of people going in every other month. Like I was reading, you know, when I got this diagnosis, I was reading on, why am I a little high? There, okay. I was reading people are just like constantly in and out of the hospital. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, 6 to 8 months is not terrible. And it's not like I'm eating absolutely horrible where I'm just destroying my body and ignoring everything, which I'm not. So I've talked to a GI, I've talked to a GI, I've talked to a nurse, I've talked to multiple people. And after they tell me, you know, there's a blockage, they say they're going to keep me. I have never been hospitalized, ever. Thank God, up to this point, that I have not been hospitalized for any issue. Well, I say that, but I've had like, I've had knee surgeries, and I've had like my wisdom teeth taken out, but I haven't been like just hospitalized for being sick. So that was definitely shocking to get that kind of, you know, kind of thing. Because I went in there, I was like, oh, you know what, this is not a flare-up, just pain. You know, vomiting is like, unfortunately, one of the possible side effects. And I was just like, you know, it's fine. You know, just go get some medicine and it'll be fine. Like, nothing to worry about. And so, and by the way, Jordan is still with me at this point, and he, poor thing, he was supposed to like watch some friend of ours like dogs, and we were stuck at the hospital. And they were like, yeah, well, we're gonna have to keep you and monitor you to get this blockage situation all sorted. I was like, okay, like what can we do? And then they're like, well, we can start putting you on antibiotics. We're gonna give you some steroids, and then of course morphine for pain. It's like, okay, this is new. Not sure what to do here. And so I was like, okay. So I let, you know, people from my work know, like, hey, my day job, hey, so I'm kind of stuck here for a minute. I'm not gonna be able to come in tomorrow. I'm thinking like, you know what, I'm not gonna be able to be in for like a day or two. Like, I'm thinking this is nothing at this point. I'm like, all right. And I was like, okay. In the ER, like, I'm not gonna ask for like food or anything. I'm just kind of waiting for my room. So we got to the ER about 8 and got into a room, we'll say around 9, started getting, whoa, I'm a little nuts on this. Started getting medication like pretty much right away, and we were told this news probably about like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so this is pretty late at night, and they were waiting to get me a room. They're like, okay, we're trying to get you a room soon. About midnight, like, I looked at Jordan, and poor thing, like, God bless him for putting him in my life, because he's been nothing but great through this whole, you know, journey of mine with Crohn's. Like, he's been nothing but fantastic and nothing but understanding. So God bless him for that, and thank the Lord that he was put in my life. I told him, I was like, look, I'm going to be literally sitting here in this ER room until they get me a room, and it doesn't look like it's going to be tonight. So why don't you go home, check on Milo, because yeah, poor Milo was home alone this whole time. And we'll go, and then you can come back in the morning, and, you know, hopefully I'll have a room by then. So he went home, and I was there. And if you haven't been in a hospital overnight, they say they want you to rest. They want you to get some sleep. They want you to all the things. Well, I had 2 IVs put in my arm because I had to get 2 sets of blood cultures, and they have to be in different area, pulled from different areas. So I had 2 IVs in my arm. I was poked for initial IV, but that didn't work, so that had to get pulled out, and then they finally put it in my arms. I hate having IVs. Look, I'm a pretty strong person, and a lot of things don't bother me. I have a high pain tolerance, but for whatever reason, that thing I freak out about. Having the ER, getting blood drawn, all that. I turn into a chicken. I am not afraid to say it. Turn into a chicken. So, but the next day, you know, shift change, different nurse, and that nurse was such a sweet lady. She was very, very nice. Her bedside manner was great, and she was being very cheerful and like very optimistic, and she'd be like, you know, I will let you know as soon as you get a room. I'm gonna go with Color Plop eyeliner in this shade Sunnyvale. And do I want to do that? No. And yeah, she was great, and she was very attentive, like, and you know, if I like had a question, she immediately would come into the room, be like, what you need, like, great nurse. Like, through this whole experience, the nurses were absolutely fantastic. I have absolutely no complaints. I don't know how y'all nurses do your jobs, and bless you for it, because you guys are great at what you do, and you guys are put through a lot. And the fact that you come in and day out to care for your patients is unbelievable. So I applaud you all if you are a nurse. Seriously. And that's not because Nurses Appreciation Week is, no, like seriously, my nurses, and Jordan will attest to this as well, were absolutely fantastic. So I'm having a little bit more pain, so I'm given a little bit more morphine. I'm seen by all the doctors. They're like, okay, we're trying to get you a room, and we're going to put you on these antibiotics to hopefully help, you know, with this blockage situation. Then about 2 o'clock Wednesday, I finally get up into a room to be admitted, and I meet with like the general doctor that's going to be taking care of me, and during my time there. She was in for maybe 5 minutes, asked simple questions. And I think I'm learning that seems to be a typical thing where the doctors are not really in there a whole lot and having full-blown conversations because they have a lot of patients. I get it. The medical system's a little rough right now, so I was trying to be cognizant and patient of that. So at this point, I have had no food. I have had no water, really. That's the other thing too with digestive issues. They don't want you to eat, and they don't want you to drink anything because they don't want to irritate your digestive system and make it worse. Now looking back at that now, I understand. But in the moment, I was not having it. The last time I ate, so this is Wednesday at like 2-3 o'clock. I hadn't eaten anything since Tuesday at about 1. Because I could not finish my lunch that day just because of the pains. That's the other downside, is that the pains can cause me not to have an appetite and not want to eat. The fact that I'm doing this and talking is amazing. So I asked, I was like, can I eat something? Can I have something? So I am 5'5", and on a good point in my life, I weighed 120 pounds, but currently I usually fluctuate between 110 and 115. And that is not a brag or anything like that. I just physically cannot gain weight. And again, that's not a brag, and that's not to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Like, that's just unfortunate. That's just how my body has been made. And, you know, and every body is beautiful. Like, I don't want that to come off as like, yeah, I don't have to gain weight. Like, because that's not the case. I try really hard to gain weight and to keep the weight that I have. Also, that is a side effect of Crohn's, is that you have severe weight loss sometimes. So I do sometimes gain slash lose weight at 10 to 15 pounds, and it could be very, very quickly. So yay for me. I'm gonna go in with that ColourPop liner in the shade Sunnyvale. So I'm like thinking, I'm starving. I don't want to lose any more weight than I have. I just need, I need something. I hadn't eaten in 24 hours. And they kept explaining to me, like, no, you can't, no, you can't. I was like, can I have like water? Can I have like something? And they kept trying to tell me, no, you can't, because we need to get your stomach under control. That's the biggest thing. They're like, we need your digestive system to rest. We need to rest, we need to rest, we need to rest. And I was like, okay, I'm getting over this, and I don't do well with rest. And you know, I joke all the time, like, the word relax is not in my vocabulary. I'm a very, like, I can't sit still, I gotta do something, I gotta, like, constantly. I think maybe it's a little bit, I don't want to say workaholic. I am a little bit of one, but also at the same time, like, I like to constantly be having the feeling of being productive. So maybe that's workaholic, I don't know. I have a hard time just sitting down and just relaxing and just chilling and let other people handle things for me. I don't know what that's from. It's like something I'm trying to work on, especially through this whole issue. Is like sometimes I'm just rendered where I can't do anything. I can't get out of bed, I can't eat, I can't, and I don't have the energy to actually physically do anything. So I think that's why the Lord gave me this disease. Now I'm thinking about it, is to force myself to relax and to chill, because you can't go 100 miles an hour all the time. Like, you can't. It doesn't work that way. So I'm going to go in with the ColourPop designer collection, the shade Ariel. This is also in my project pan, and then I'll try to move on with the rest of my story. Oh, now that little peachy lip. Oh, I'm also gonna do an inner corner highlight and brow bone. Okay, so I'm starting to get irritated, because I'm like, okay, I've been here 24 hours. You all see me, right? Like, you see I don't weigh a whole lot. Like, my body doesn't have a whole lot to pull from to sustain me. And they kept reassuring me, like, no, we have you on IVs and you're gonna be fine. So I'm getting irritated, and then about 5 o'clock I was like, look, I just need something. Like, can I have like broth or something? So I kept wanting to talk to the doctor. This is where things start going really bad. Like, I'm talking really bad. I'm like, okay, I need to speak to the doctor, because we need to figure this out, because obviously this is a problem, and either I'm not getting it, or I need a better explanation, something. This doctor, and I'm not going to name names because, I don't know, it's just not my place, I guess. If you want to know, I can do an update and whatever, and I can let you know privately. But this doctor had this nurse do her dirty work. Like, straight up, would not come. Oh my god, okay. So the nurse that was assigned to my room, he was new to that hospital, I think, or just new to nursing in general, and I don't know. So I was like, can I please speak to the doctor? I think as a patient, I don't think that's anything crazy or wrong to do. And he was like, yes, let me go talk to her, because she was still there at this point. Because I know not doctors, obviously, they have a certain time, and then they're not there at the hospital 24/7. I would never expect that of anybody, to be at their job 24/7. And he comes back, and she straight up says, or he says, that she wanted to know why I wanted to talk to her, and that pretty much didn't even want to come into my room. And I was like, how? First of all, that is rude, and two, I want to talk to you because obviously I'm uncomfortable. Your patient is in having hunger pains. Like, let's be real here. I was at the point where I was having both Crohn's disease pains and hunger pains, and I was so oh, I was so annoyed. And then I was like, well, I need to talk to somebody so they can explain it to me, or we need to figure something out because this isn't working. I'm uncomfortable and we need to figure something out. Like this just doesn't seem right. And so the initial doctor that's supposed to be with me during the day and like is in charge of my care left, and that the only thing that they can do is have the on-call doctor talk to me and just kind of walk me through it. Oh, I was so mad. At this point, I was like, all right, fine. It is what it is. She's gone. Fine. She gets on the phone with me and she's explaining to me, she's like, I looked over all your information and I've looked at the notes from the GI doctors. I cannot have you eat anything. And I was like, look, I haven't eaten over 24 hours. Like, I need to eat. I'm someone with really low weight. I have a very fast metabolism. Like, I need to eat. And she's like, no, we can't have you eat because this will make your condition worse. And I was like, and I was like, okay, I don't understand how this can make it worse. And I was like, and then I started going, I was like, look, I know my body. Like, if I have something, it'll help move things along. I drink coffee, and I was like explaining to her, I was like, look, I drink coffee every day, which is actually a natural laxative. I drink coffee every day to keep things moving. I know if as soon as I have that, like, it'll get things going. And she goes, look, I know, I get that you, and it's great that you understand your body, but you came here for our expertise and for our recommendations. You're a grown adult, so I can't force you to not do what you want to do, but this is the recommendation, and I cannot give an or send in an order to have you be able to eat food. I was appalled. I was like, okay, you know what? You're being stern. Fine. She's not wrong. I did go to the ER. However, like, you're not my main doctor. Like, that's where my point was. Like, you're not my main doctor. You haven't, like, seen me fully. Like, you don't know my medical history. You don't know what I've been dealing with. Like, I was at that point. And also, didn't help that, you know, fortunately, I was PMSing this past week. And, you know, I haven't had a whole lot of sleep. And so that was just a recipe for, you know, things to clash and me to get a little more emotional and for me to obviously not be able to think straight. And I understand that now. And, you know, I'm not proud of like how I spoke, and I'm also not proud of how she spoke with me either. So I was like, all right, fine. I was at the point I was like, okay, this is a game now. Like, I will play their game. I'll do what they ask. And obviously I'm stuck here. I can't get out of this. So we go into Thursday. Then I had one of the nurse practitioners who were looking at me, is a surgeon assistant. He came in, checked me out, and was like, okay, like, are you having any gas? Are you having any pains? And also, I didn't ask for any medication after 2 p.m. on Wednesday, like no pain medication, no nothing. So going into Thursday, I've only been on IV and antibiotics, that's it. And that's all I've had in my system, with actually after like maybe a couple sips of water, that's all I got. And so going into Thursday, I was like, nope, I don't have any pains, like I don't have any bloating, like I feel, you know, I'm starting to feel like, obviously I'm just feeling weak at this point because, you know, I'm going into day 2 of not having, going into 48 hours of not having food. And, you know, that was the other thing too. So every morning, if you haven't been hospitalized, every morning they take some blood work to see where you're, just part of your vitals. And they came back and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to change your, or they had to take more tests and like prick my finger because they saw that my blood sugar was low. I was thinking, no duh, I haven't eaten in 48 hours. Of course my blood sugar is gonna be low. So they ended up changing my IV to have like electrolytes in it. And I was annoyed. I was like, seriously? Yeah, no duh. Like, you didn't even need to test. You knew my blood sugar was gonna be low. You should have just switched over the IV. But you know what? They have procedures they have to do. I've never worked in a hospital, don't work in the medical field. So, but anyways, I was annoyed, hadn't eaten 48 hours. So you can see where my head and all that is at that point. And also getting like practically no sleep because, you know, I'm dealing with IVs, people coming in the night, having to check my vitals. Like, you don't get a whole lot of sleep. Like, let's be real here. You don't get a whole lot of rest because you're constantly poked and you're constantly being checked on, and you know, I get it, that's what they need to do, but yeah, you don't get a whole lot of sleep when you are in the hospital, at least in my experience. If anyone else is like had different experience, like lucky you, because no. Oh man. And so they changed over to that. Then I started feeling better because I'm getting electrolytes. I'm like feeling good. I'm starting to get more energy, and I'm like trying to walk around. I was like doing squats in the room, and I was like, is there anything? Like, can I please get something in my system? They finally cleared me on we're at Thursday. Yeah. I think it was, Thursday. They finally cleared me to have clear liquids only, which is broths, jello. The list they had was kind of weird of some of the stuff, like coffee was on there, tea was on there, juices. And so I was like, great, get some broth. And I literally had like 3 straight meals that day of just broth and jello, and I was just in apple juice, and I was able to have some water, and I felt so much better. I was having no pains, and yeah, I was like, okay, great, we're on a verge. And then they're like, okay, well, unfortunately, until you pass the blockage, we can't release you. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was like trying to do everything I could just to get this thing going. And like I said, I was like turning the room into like my gym of doing squats, lunges, trying to walk around a little bit, and then resting, and anything, you name it. And so that was the other thing. So each day, the surgeon, the GI, and my medical, like the general doctor only checked on me once, and that was always in the morning, and then I never saw him for the rest of the day, which I found kind of weird. But first day, okay, fine. Because there was no real changes, and then the nurses kept asking me like, hey, like, have you had unfortunately, you have to talk about this, but have you had a bowel movement? Have you, like, is there any other symptoms? Do you have pain? Like, the nurses were asking me the questions, I think, for reporting purposes. And so that's what the doctor ends up looking at instead of actually coming to me. I think that's a new thing. I don't know. But I said, no. Come Thursday, I was just like, oh my gosh, I would like to get out of here. I would like some food. I'm feeling better, and I'm feeling more like myself. After, I think that was definitely to the fact that there was like electrolytes in the IV, and so I was like feeling I was getting nutrition and getting some energy. And you know, and I kept asking, I was like, can I eat? Oh, that was the other thing. On Thursday, a dietitian came in because they were concerned that I was underweight or not eating or anything like that. I was like, what? Because of the weight I put in, with like 110 pounds, for someone my height, that is considered underweight. And so she came in to make sure that I wasn't, like, I was actually eating normal, and just to confirm that. And then she told me that I needed to be, medical field would like person of my height, and actually my condition, and just with her expert opinion, that I needed to be like between 112 and 118. But the standard, like federal standards, I need to be 125 pounds. I've never in my life been 125 pounds. Like, yeah, she's like, don't believe it. Like, so she was just making sure that there was, like, I wasn't starving myself, or what, you know, which also could have caused this issue. I said no. And she goes, well, I would suggest adding like another snack. And I was just like, woman, if you only knew how much I ate. And me and Jordan were like, we just laughed, like, okay. And she goes, yeah, like, you seem fine. You seem like active. Like, I had a soccer shirt on, so everyone just could tell. And that was the other thing. The GI was like, he's like, I'm not used to like having someone so skinny, like, being here and doing this. And I was like, or having to deal with this. And I was like, yeah, I'm an active person. Like, I play sports, and I try to work out, and I try to eat healthy. Like, it's just, he goes, that was the thing. It was subtle. It's like, you seem healthy besides this condition. And I said, yeah, yeah, this is the only thing that's kind of an issue for me. Otherwise, I'm healthy. And so going into Friday, I was like, oh, that was the other thing. Thursday, like, by the time I was released, it was kind of late to have like coffee or anything like that. I probably could have. Now I think about it, I probably could have, and probably could have sped up all this, you know, all this along, sped up everything. And But anyways, going into Friday, which is time of recordings was yesterday, so we're talking about the 6th. So at this point, I was in the hospital, or I was in the ER on the 3rd, and we're now at the 6th. So we're talking about 3.5-ish days. Yeah, that would make sense. And I'm like, I'm done. Like, I feel fine. I'm not having any pains. Like, I'm not, like, I feel great. I feel back to, you know, prior to all of this. I'm like, no, we can't release you until, you know, you pass this blockage and, you know, we can make sure everything's good. Fine. So I get my breakfast. I have coffee. I'm chilling. I'm trying to walk around. I'm doing squat. Like, I'm literally doing anything and everything to get this, you know, to get this done and to get out of there, because I was just done. I was done being there. I was done just sitting there. I was ready to go home. Naturally, I think of any patient. No one wants to be in the hospital. Like, no one does. And so that's why I was just like, what can I do? Like, seriously, I was asking everybody. Then come around about noontime, actually no, about 10:30, after I've had my first initial meal, the GI comes by, and I'm like sitting up in a chair, like I'm working on my computer, like I feel like I'm, you know, getting back to normal. I was working on, like, just on my laptop, my personal laptop. And he goes, well, you seem great. You got more color in your face, like, and you don't have any pains. Like, you seem like you're doing great. So let's clear you to do, like, full liquid diet. So you can have a little more creamier stuff, like tomato soup, cream of chicken soup, pudding, ice cream, you know, just a little bit thicker, but nothing hard or fibery. I was like, great. So this is like 11. So I'm like thinking, cool. Oh yeah, then the general doctor came in, kind of same situation. She goes, oh, we can probably get you discharged today. And as well, the GI that was on my case also said the same thing. Like, well, you know, we can probably get you, if the full liquid diet doesn't bother you, we can probably get you discharged. I'm like, perfect, great. So I go order food, get, you know, full liquid diet kind of meal. Then luckily I, you know, passed bowel movement, pass it. Like, I'm like on it. Like, at this point, I'm like, okay, as soon as it happens, I'm calling my nurse. I'm like saying, like, here's the sample, go take it. Like, let's do it. Let's get this thing done. Let's get this thing done. Then about 1-2 o'clock comes around. I hadn't heard anything. To be fair, like, so I want to say, I guess I had a good batch travel, but at like about 10:30 is when I was able to give a sample for them. And then about 11 o'clock is when all the other doctors came in. Like, they're like, great, we'll release you full liquid diet, and we'll go from there if nothing bothers you. So perfect. As soon as I was able to order lunch, because I think they try to break it up so someone's not constantly asking for food. Because, yeah, you want to be slow. And because right now, obviously, I hadn't eaten anything in 48 hours, and I went to a liquid diet. That's still not a lot. Like, I can't go full blown to having like a steak and potatoes kind of meal. Like, I understand. Like, you have to go slow. And so as soon as I was able to do it, like, that was the other thing. The doctors both said, like, I'm cleared for a full liquid diet. I waited about 20-30 minutes, and then I call to order it, and they're like, oh, it's not showing up as you're cleared for that. I was like, okay. I called my nurse in. I was like, I'm supposed to be cleared for full liquid diet. Like, I'm trying to be like, let's go. And it just, you know, that everyone around me was not like that. Just foreshadowing. And so finally I get the meal, have the meal. I wait about an hour, and I'm like, all right, I feel fine. I look at Jordan. I'm like, I feel fine. Like, let's go. Let's try to get me out of here. And I start beeping, calling the nurse, going, okay, I would like to speak to the doctor. Because at this point, no one, like, as a doctor, if you change, like, I feel like, in my personal opinion, if you are changing, like, your patient's diet and they've ordered this meal, and then after like an hour or two, I get it for like the meal to kind of settle into the digestive system, wouldn't you come back and check on your patient to make sure it didn't do anything? Like, at this point, I didn't see any other doctor. It's 2 o'clock at this point. I didn't expect to see like the GI or the gastroenterologist, like surgeons, like the GI surgeons. I didn't expect them, but like my normal general doctor, like I feel like you would come back and check on that patient, like, right? I mean, let me know if you're in the medical field, like, let me know down below if there's like a procedure I'm missing. I'm honestly not trying to be mean or, you know, bash the medical field or anything like that. I was confused, and so was Jordan. Like, we were like, this is weird. And around 2 o'clock, I'm like, can I speak to the doctor? I would like to let them know, give them an update, and I would like to be discharged. Never got a response. Just the nurse would come back in and be like, what do you need? I was like, I would like to speak to the doctor to be discharged, because I understand that the doctor is the only one that can sign off on being discharged, not the nurses. I was like, I would like to be discharged. Okay, like, let me go see, and like, she hasn't put in anything for you to be discharged. I was like, okay, that's weird, because that's what she told me. And so I was like, ask again. Wait another hour. We're talking about 3 o'clock now. Still nothing. Ask again. I would like to speak to the doctor because I would like to be discharged. Okay, ma'am, we'll try to talk to her and all that. Jordan ends up leaving to go get food for himself because he was getting off work, and like, our whole schedules were all messed up this week. So like our eating schedule, all that was all messed up this week, poor thing. And so when he left, he went to the nurse station like, we haven't heard from the doctor, and we would like, she would like to be discharged. Like, she feels fine. Like, there hasn't been any issues. She would like to go home. Okay, yeah, we reached out to the doctor, but she's not answering. That's what they told him. I was like, okay. I wait another 30, 45 minutes. Still nothing. Still not even of like, hey, the doctor is busy. She'll get back to you. She had an issue. Like, there was no communication, like, at all. That was what irritated me the most. Like, I get it. I'm not the only patient. I'm not Queen Bee. I don't run the world, like, or rule the world. The world does not revolve around me. I am not saying that at all. But at least communicate the fact, like, oh, like, either through your nurse, be like, she's busy with another patient, or she's unable to, she can't discharge you for, and like, they couldn't even give me a reason that they were keeping me. And so Jordan and I are getting irritated because it's like, there's no reason for me to stay here another night. Being in the hospital is already expensive enough. If I don't need to stay here, like, what, like, that's just, for me, that's just a waste of money and time, especially if I feel okay and no one can give me a legit reason for me to stay, like, truthfully. And I was getting irritated. Jordan was getting irritated. And so we were like, okay, who can we talk to? Because I was at the point, like, again, think of my state of mind. I was been stuck in a room for almost 4 days. I haven't been able to be outside. I haven't been able to legitimately eat in 2 of those days. And I hadn't slept more than 2 hours in those 3 or 4 days I was there. So you can just picture my state of mind is not exactly perfect. And I was just like I was thinking to myself, like, a hospital can't keep a patient against their will, right? Like, I'm like, no one, they can't force me to stay. Like, I was trying to think of, like, what the heck? Like, what can I do? And a nurse won't take my IVs out until they have the discharge. Like, the nurse was following protocol, like, they were doing, and I was trying to do the same thing. And so I was like asking my parents, or was like, what the heck? Like, this is so weird. And so we reached out to try to find like a care manager or like a patient advocate or anything like that. All of them went home at 4. And at this point it's after 4. All of them went home at 4. I was like, okay, like, is there just somebody in charge or that could sign off? Like, someone has to be, right? I guess not. I guess that's not the case. And so they reached out to, that was the other thing. In between this time, the nurse was ordered to give me more antibiotics. And I was like, no, I don't want any more. I'm trying to go home. If I was given that antibiotic, I would have to stay there another 4 hours. And I was like, no, I don't. And also, I feel fine. I would like to leave. I've been asking to be discharged for 2 hours at this point. And I refused it. I will go on record and say I refused it. And look, I'm here. I feel fine. And I'm taking, actually after this, I'm going to go get my medication and move on and have, do what I need to do and go up to and do my doctor's appointments and follow-ups. And so we go up to, like, Jordan goes up to the nurse's manager, and they tell him that they have reached out to the doctor, and on the, I guess, like their version of IM, and you can see if they've read it or not. She read it and never responded. I was like, are you kidding me? That is, you're a doctor. You gotta respond and be like, okay, I'll be right there. Okay, I can't, like, communicate. Like, this woman, oh my gosh. And the demeanor that I got with this woman was, she just did not want to be there. She didn't care. Like, oh yeah, that was the other thing. In the last visit I had with her, she goes, oh yeah, you can possibly discharge, but it doesn't matter. I'm here all weekend. Like, that was what she said to me. I was like, what? I was just appalled, like absolutely appalled, because everyone else around her, like, treated me great. I had no issues with any of them, like any of the nurses, the GIs, like any of the doctors that were on me, like they were fantastic, except for her. And she was the one that only could discharge me. And like, we kept pushing and pushing, and I was just, and finally and unfortunately Jordan had to leave because he had to go coach. And at this time, like, I didn't have anyone to come pick me up, and I can't drive on my own. Like, they won't release me without someone taking me. They just don't release people by themselves. And I was starting to freak out and panic, going, I'm staying here another night, like, and I'm like, another night of no sleep, another day of like no food, no nothing. They finally discharged me at like 5:15 after all of that and all of that freaking nightmare. And the doctor didn't even do it. The nurse did it. And like, nurse went through my paperwork, which, by the way, the paperwork was just about COVID and like what I needed to do if I had COVID. Nothing to do with my case, except for one sheet that said where my prescription was at and the 2 doctors I needed to follow. That's it. No dietary restrictions, no nothing. I was appalled. Like, I was absolutely appalled, because it's like, this poor guy who's new, and yeah. But luckily it worked out fine, and I was able to get out, and I got home, and I finally got to shower after 4 days. I mean, I could have showered, but it would have been way more complicated. They would have had to cover up my IVs and just all this, and I didn't have the energy to do it. So I came home, I showered, and I felt so much better, and I got to eat something. I ate anything soft I was eating, and low fiber. Yeah. So that was a little like chit chat, get ready with me for just a simple everyday look, and talking about my recent hospitalization and experience. I am definitely feeling a lot better, and I am, going to go through this process of, getting on some medication and getting a new GI doctor and getting all of that sorted, because obviously I'm not doing it right. And that goes to show, like, yeah, I tried and I wanted to do it in the way that I wanted to do it, but I'm not an expert, and I was listening to my body, and it is what it is. And unfortunately, like, it led me to being hospitalized. But I wanted to share my experience, and nothing against the medical field. That was just nothing against that hospital or any of the people that worked with me. It was just that ending experience of having such a hard time just to get discharged was awful. And that was definitely, I don't want to say traumatic, because it wasn't. It was definitely eye-opening, because I don't want to do that again, and I want to ensure and make sure I'm not going to do that again. And so yeah, so I'm gonna go on and go get some medication and go to Target, because that makes me feel better, and go on with my day. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and comment down below any of your experiences, or if you have Crohn's disease. I would love to know. But yeah, I am okay. Like, I'm fine, and I am on the road to recovery, and I just want to move on and go on to more fun things, with like the wedding coming up, and my honeymoon, and just be excited about that, and on to healing. But yeah, and I'm glad. That's another reason why I wanted to sit down and like get ready, because I hadn't put on makeup in 4 or 5 days, and just wanted to feel better, part of the whole feeling better and getting self-care. And yeah, but thank you again for watching, and subscribe for new videos every single week. I know today was a little bit different, but we usually do DIY, makeup, lifestyle, fashion. We do all kinds of stuff here on From Hem to Stem. So I would love to join my little family here on YouTube. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you know, I'll link it down below as well as right here at From Hem to Stem for more day-to-day stuff and more updated stuff as well. But yeah, thank you again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.